let's start this. So this is going to be my semester recap. Yeah, like that's how I'm starting it off. So basically the semester that I was currently in, that I just recently overcame, was Med-Surg 1 older adult. So I am in an associate's program to become a registered nurse. So at the end of my program, I am able to sit and take the NCLEX, take the boards, and get my license to practice as a registered nurse in the state of New York. So my program has 5 semesters. The first semester is fundamentals. The second, which is the one that I just recently overcame, is Med-Surg 1 older adult. The one that I am going into in the fall is Med-Surg 2 older adult 2, which will be more of like the cardiovascular and more about the disease processes and in depth more into like hematology. So this semester was a whirlwind for me. I really don't know how to explain it other than it almost broke me. I was this close, like my fingers aren't even open. I was that close to failing, and some way somehow I passed by like the grace of God. And yeah, so in the beginning of the semester, it is a transition, because you go from having, 4-hour lecture and then that's it. And then now you go into a 4-hour lecture, 4-hour clinical. So I knew what to expect, because I've been working in the healthcare field for like 10 years plus, and I work in a nursing home, but the nursing home is like, it's different. We work 8-hour shifts, etc., etc. So the class that I had was Friday morning, and then I had Saturday clinical, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. My clinical professor, she is an angel. If you go to my school, like if you know me and you go to my school, hit me up. And well, right now registration has already began. So if you're taking Saturday clinical and you go to my school, hit me up, because you have to take her. She's God sent. Like, she is, no lie, an angel. So we had lecture Friday morning, and then Saturday we would go to clinical. So the first exam was basically a review as to what we learned last semester. So my school, they give us a blueprint. I'm just going to like fold it so you don't, like, if you don't know me, like, if you know me, you know what school I go to, but if not, I don't want to like put my business out there. So yeah, they give us this exam blueprint. Can we see? Okay, so this is what they break the exams down to, and then the final exam is just, that's what's going to be on the exam. So the first exam was, so the semester started around January 20th-ish, like that week. So our first exam was February 7th, and it was on clinical workshops 1, 2, and 3. So being that we've never been in the clinical aspect, our first clinical courses, well, we had to go to for 2 weekends in a row, and we had to go 9 to 3 or something of that aspect. They were clinical workshops, and we learned basically some skills. They did reviews. We had a math exam, which, like, basically the clinical calculations, I got 100 on that exam, and math is not my strong point. So our exam was on clinical workshops, health history and physical assessment, the nursing process, vital signs, and then clinical calculations. So you go from being in fundamentals to having quizzes, no quizzes now, and then those quizzes were med terminology and math. Those were easy points. So now you go from not having med terminology, not having as many clinical calculations to give you something to that will give you something to hold on to. So now we only have 8 clinical calculations. So the first exam, and I'm gonna pull up my grades, is, so these are my actual grades. Can we focus? So yeah, the first exam, I got a 68. Mind you, my clinical group, like me, like my sisters and our brother Jeff, we're talking about the exam, and we're like, yo, that was so easy, like it was too easy and blah blah blah. Homegirl got a 68, and I was just like, how? So when I got my exam back for the exam review, I made a rookie mistake. Listen, if you are in a nursing program, you know the most important thing to do during an exam for clinical calculation is write the unit of measurement. And I did not write the unit of measurement on my exam paper. So automatically, and I got all of my calculations correct, I didn't write the unit of measurement, so I got the answers wrong. And then all of the answers that I changed from the correct answer, I changed them to the incorrect answer. And yeah, so that's why you always go with your gut. You always go with your first instinct. You don't change your exam questions. So yeah, second exam was on February 28th. So this is like 2 weeks maybe. And it's perioperative nursing, activity and rest, med administration. Is actually raining right now, and clinical calculations. They also give you like a ballpark on the amount of questions. So this test, perioperative nursing, was 8 to 12 questions, activity and rest was like 14 to 18 questions, etc. So I studied, and what I did was I studied perioperative and med administration like heavy, and activity and rest I didn't study so heavy, and I should have, because it was 14 to 18 questions as versus perioperative nursing, which was only 8 to 12 questions. So this exam I got a 70, and same thing, I changed the correct answers to the wrong answers. One of my my clinical calculations, I had the right answer on my test exam paper, and then when I transferred it to my Scantron, I wrote a complete different answer because I felt it was too good to be true. Never do that. So when I went to meet with my professor, so listen, anytime you're not okay with your grade, you feel like you truly didn't understand something, like during the exam reviews, you can't really talk to the professors as much because there's so many people coming in trying to review their exam. So you can set up and schedule an appointment, and you can talk to your professor one-on-one, or if you're embarrassed or whatever the case may be. Because during the exam review, I was like, oh my gosh, why did I? And then my professors, we have 4 professors this semester because they all taught their specialty. So they're like, Quadasia. I was just like, no, like I'm upset. And so I scheduled an appointment with one of the professors, and he was like, your exam was very interesting because you had the right answer. I don't know where you got that answer from, because that answer is not even nowhere on your paper where you were doing your calculations. And I was just like, don't know. So with me is, I have so many things that, you know, take part into why I didn't do well on the exams, and I know those reasons, and like I have to just remind myself to correct those things. One, I'm a fast reader, so during these exams you have to take your time and read the question, because you can miss one key word, and the word can be every, and there's no such thing as every in a nursing question, because not everything is going to have the same answer. So you can miss a key word. You can just completely like comprehend something that is not there. Like a lot of, you know, my classmates, they're like, I was just making up, like, well, what if this happens? What if that happens? And the professors are like, but that's not my question. And it's just like, and they're like, but that's not the question. Like, just answer the question. Don't make things up in your mind. So I would do that, like, okay, well, oh, their levels are this, so that means this can be going on and this can be happening. And it's just like, girl, they just asked you the levels, and what does this mean? Is this safe or is this not safe? And then I get really bad test anxiety, so I have to literally like block everyone out, because if I see someone getting up, I'm like, oh my god, they're done with their exam, I'm only on question number 30, there's 50 questions, I got this amount of time left, and blah 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 blah. And it's like, girl, focus on your exam. And so I had so many of those aspects. So now exam 2, I get a 70. I speak to my professor, you know, he's giving me tips and everything, and I'm like, okay, exam 3. So exam 3 was April 3rd. So we had spring break in March, so the whole March we had off, like no exams, we don't get quizzes, to study for exam 3, which was on older adult 1 and 2. I'm just reading from the paper. Fluids and electrolytes, inflammation and infection, integumentary wounds, and then the 8 clinical calculations. So now we're in March, we have spring break, and then COVID-19 hits us. So now we go from going to school, going to clinicals, and we're now at home. So now I'm a mom, and I have 2 children. I have a soon-to-be 9-year-old and a 5-year-old. So now I become a teacher to a 3rd grader and a kindergartner, and I'm still in nursing school. So at the time, I was only working 4 days a month, so every other weekend. So I would study Monday through Friday while they were in school. Our routine would be get up, make them breakfast, bring them to school, come home, study, you know, do my like chores in the house, clean this, clean that, do whatever. And then I would pick them up, you know, have dinner ready. They would go to sleep, and I would go about, like, I would go to bed or like do whatever. That all changed because now during the day I'm a teacher and I'm teaching my children schoolwork, and that was a really hard adjustment for me. So when that 3rd exam came rolling around, I was not prepared at all. And like, I was prepared, but not like, I knew the information. So don't get me wrong, like nothing that I learned this semester was extremely hard. Like, I didn't have a hard time understanding the concept. I knew the concepts. Even like during clinicals, when my clinical professor would go over the concepts and ask us questions, I knew it. So that wasn't the case. The case was me answering the questions. And why am I not putting things together? So in nursing school, everything, they're like building blocks. Like they just keep stacking on one another. So if you don't get a concept, like you're literally like, your bridge has a crack in it, and then you keep going and you're placing bricks on top of that bridge, that crack is eventually going to cause your bridge to cave. And that's what happened my 3rd exam. I got a 64, and I was just hysterically crying. I think I did have like a mental breakdown where I was hysterically crying and I couldn't control myself, because I am my own toughest critic. So me failing, and now I'm failing. Like, there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So passing in my program is a 74.45. I was at a 70. And I had one more exam in my final. And I was just hysterically crying. And I remember speaking to my friends and, like, my clinical professor. And I was just like, after this 4th exam, like, this is my make or break exam. Because if I don't do well, I have to drop. I cannot take that much of a risk. And they also changed the drop dates because of COVID and everything that was happening. So instead of us like dropping before our 4th exam, we were allowed to drop all the way up until 2 days before our final. So they allowed us to take the 4th exam to, you know, see how and where we would go with that. So now the 4th exam is April 24th, and I think our drop date was like May 8th. Our 4th exam, which was the toughest exam, was on hematology 1 and 2, musculoskeletal, and delegation, and then our 8 clinical calculations. Delegation, the easiest part of the like exam, is like It was only 4 questions because it's so easy. Can you delegate this? Yes or no? You can. That exam, I'm like, everyone has to leave the house. I need peace and quiet. My boyfriend took the kids out for ice cream or whatever they did. I don't know. All I know is just that they weren't in the house. And I took the exam. And so, sidebar, the way they did our exams was the professors manually graded our clinical calculations because the computer was very specific on how they graded it. So say the question, it was a question or whatever about a calculation, and the answer was 3.5 mLs. So you can type 3.5 mLs space lowercase m lowercase l and it will mark it wrong. That's the answer, but they wanted 3.5 lowercase m uppercase L all together, like no spaces, no nothing. So they were very specific on the way that they graded the math portion of the exam. So the professors then had to go into the exams and then grade the math for us. So I'm talking to my friend, talk to my friend Gabby from school, and I'm just like, I don't know, girl. She's like, no, stick it out, you got it, do this, do that. And then I'm talking to like my sisters and my clinical group, and they're just like, girl, like, get it together, we got this, blah blah blah. And then at that time I got like a new job opportunity presented itself. So now I'm like, oh my god, like, you know, this is kind of what I want to do. Like, I want to work in a hospital as a nurse. So I'm like, this is the perfect time. And then it's just like, oh my gosh, do I want to work in a hospital at the time where like COVID is running rampant? I was talking to one of my friends about it, and like, oh, like, hey, should I take this job and blah blah blah. And he was just like, bro, like, you'd be crazy if you wouldn't. So I'm just like, all right, whatever, I'll think about it. So now 4th exam comes and I got an 86. Like an 86. When I mean, I was like hysterically crying because I felt so defeated at that point. And if it wasn't for like my friends and my family for like pushing me and literally telling me, like my best friends, like my 2 best friends who I speak to every single day, who know me, they were like, girl, like, you got this, like. And I was just like, no, I don't know what to do. And they were just like, listen, stick it out, you know. And then my man was like, who's paying $8,500 again? And I was just like, you're right. So my semester cost $8,500, and if I was to drop or fail, I would have to pay $8,500 again for a semester. And the semester that I'm going into is $8,500. So yeah, and I don't take out loans or nothing like that. So yeah, who's paying $8,500 for a semester? So he's like, listen, you got to do what you got to do. You're going to pass. You got this. So everyone had more faith in me than I had in myself. So now after that exam, I was like, yes, my grade is now at a 72. So passing is a 74.45. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go for it. I'm going to take my final. I got this. I'm going to pass. Final comes. I take the final. I got an 86. And I'm like, I needed, so now I'm calculating my grade. What do I need? I needed a 75.58 or something on my exam. So basically I needed a 76 on my exam. And no, I needed a 74.58 on my exam. So basically I needed a 75 on my exam to pass the course with the 75. And I was okay with just passing with the minimum at that point. So I take the exam, and you know, initially they give you the grade and then the professor has to go in and grade the math. I got a 76. I was like, yes, I'm out here. I passed. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. So not a week later, a couple days later, we get the final grades, and I got an 86 on my final. When I mean, my mind was like, blown. I was just like, oh my gosh. I was just like, thank you, God. Thank you to all the saints. Thank you to like my friends, my family, everyone who had faith in me, because they literally were dragging me across the finish line because I didn't have faith. And basically, never give up on yourself, because there's going to be tough times, and there's going to be times where you don't want to get up, you don't want to study, you don't want to go to work, you don't want to do these things. But never give up on yourself, because like you're only hurting yourself. And also in nursing school, like, don't think that your grade will equate to the type of nurse that you will become. When I was in high school, I was extremely smart. I got really good grades. Even like before this, I got really good grades. I was exempt. Like, I'm familiar with, like, in high school, our like tests that we have to take, we don't really have to take SATs. It's not like a big deal, but we take regents, and I got a 98 on my English regents. My living environment regents, I got like an 86. My, you know, history regents, I got like in the high 80s. So all of these, you know, tests I was doing really well in. So I'm into nursing school, and last semester I got a B, like I got a C+ this semester. I'm okay with that as long as I am pushing forward. It's not going to equate, you know, am I going to be a good nurse because my grades are good? Like, no. What makes you a great nurse is your passion and how much you love this job. And when I'm at work, like, I truly like take care of my people. Like, I'm a nursing assistant. Like, I will do someone's hair, I will do someone's nails. Like, even though we don't have the time, I make the time, because one day that's going to be me, it's going to be my mom, it's going to be my grandma. And how would you want someone to take care of your family member? Like, that's just how I think about it. And I also think about it is like, I work in their home. Like, they don't have the luxury of being able to leave, so try to make the best of it. So yeah, that was just my semester recap. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm moving forward to 132. That's what it's called in my program, and it is Med Search 2, older adult. And I'm excited, I'm nervous, I'm all of the above. Oh, I didn't speak upon my study habits, like what I changed from the first 3 exams to the last exam. So basically, I'm a visual learner. Like, I like, as you can see, like, I like things that are aesthetically pleasing. So I downloaded the app. This is not sponsored, I paid for it. I downloaded the app called Picmonic, and it really helped me understand the concepts, because in nursing school you can't study to memorize, you have to study to understand, because like I said, everything is a building block. So yeah, I downloaded Picmonic. I started banging out questions. I would recommend like these books. So like these, like Med Surg, Fundamentals, these success books. And then I would recommend like one of these Saunders and Klutz books, and you can find loads and loads of questions on the internet. There's a truck outside. I hear the generator. Hopefully that's not annoying. But yeah, so, and then also I use ATI. So my school is affiliated with ATI, and they have questions there, they have demonstrative videos, they have a lot of things, like a lot of visual aids to help you pass. So reach out to your professors. They honestly, in my program, they helped me. Like, they helped me a lot. They helped me figure out why I'm not doing well, like how can I change my study habits, like what would be best for me. So I appreciate my program for the professors that we had, because they were so resilient through this whole time, because not only were we learning how to have clinical and lecture online, they were also learning how to teach it. So I'm eternally grateful for all of them, and I just can't wait for the next semester, and I can't wait to see my friends and hug them. I don't care about whatever's going on any longer. I just want to hug my friends, because FaceTime and text and all of that is literally not the same. Like, you need that human interaction, and don't think that you can make it through nursing school alone. Like, I am an anti-social person. Like, I can stay to myself and be fine. I can have my AirPods in, jam into music, and trust me, you need that support. Like, my family and friends, they're very supportive. Like, they push me, they tell me, you know, you got this, you can do it. But having someone that's also going through it and feeling those same emotions that you're feeling, you feel like, okay, they really understand. Because I can't talk to my friends about my nursing exams. They're like, wait, what? Like, what are you talking about? And I'm just like, forget it. So yeah, this video, I actually filmed this earlier in the day, and I like filmed this like makeup look, but when I was just editing it, I was just like, ooh, it's like an hour long, so I'm just not gonna do that. I'm just gonna sit down and chit chat, have my iced coffee that I put too much cream in. So yeah, maybe I'll just film this look separately, because I use mainly, I want to say 80% of what I use is from black owned brands, because right now the world is like crazy and we need all of the support in our community that we can get. So even before this, I've been trying to transition to more black owned brands, because we don't get a lot of recognition in the beauty industry. So yeah, most of this is like Fenty Beauty. I use the Jackie Aina Anastasia Beverly Hills collab palette on my eyes. I use Pat McGrath. So yeah, I wish I could find a black owned company that makes tinted moisturizer, because I don't wear foundation. So yeah, once I find that, we good. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe, and I wish you all the best. Stay blessed.